Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Now today we're going to be having a look at something a bit special. Today we're going to be having a look at this thing. This is the Grid by SimLab Porsche RSR replica steering wheel. Now pretty much everybody in sim racing has heard of this steering wheel. If not, where have you been? Now this thing, bit of a spoiler, it's a work of art and it's officially licensed by Porsche. But obviously anything that's officially licensed means the price goes up a little bit, but we'll talk about that later on. So before we get cracking, the necessary disclaimer: Grid by SimLab sent me this item to use and test, so I haven't bought it with my own money. Although they don't get to see this video before it's published, and they've got no influence at all in relation to what I say. Now, I will say, as usual, this isn't a product review. That's not what I do. I'm a sim racer, exactly the same as you, and I'm going to look at this as if I'm going to buy it with my own money. And as a result, there's only 4 things that I look at when I'm buying something, generally speaking. Firstly, how does it look? Because if it doesn't look right, nobody's going to buy it. Secondly, what's the build quality like? Thirdly, how does it perform? And finally, is it value for money? So let me show you the wheel rim first of all. I'll give you a proper look at it here now, the front. So it's 300 millimeters in diameter. It's got a 5-inch LED screen, which has got some kind of scratch-proof glass. It's got custom overmolded PU grips with an anti-static mixture, whatever that means. The front plate is carbon fiber. You can probably just see it under there, the carbon fiber, but the rest of it is all CNC aluminium. It's got 12 buttons on the front, so we've got 6 on either side. They're all backlit. Those are stickers on there. These are all backlit buttons. We've got 4 backlit rotary encoders on the front, and we've got 4 thumb encoders. So there's one there, and the same on the other side. But there's no funky switches, nothing like that. This is a replica wheel. Now, I'll show you the back. So on the back, it's got your normal shifters, your dual clutch on the bottom, then it's got this rocker switch on the top. Hopefully you can see that there. You should be able to see it nice and clearly. And then we've got the paddles for the shifters, paddles for the dual clutch. These are all height adjustable and reach adjustable as well. And it's got a 70 millimeter PCD, so you can attach your quick release to it. I'll tell you what, I don't want to hold it up like that for too long because it's darn heavy. So looks wise, I think you'll agree, it looks absolutely spectacular. It really does. Front and back, I think it looks absolutely brilliant. The screen, by the way, is crystal clear. I'll load the sim up in a second and I'll show you the software that we use, the Race Director software, where you can actually choose your dashboard. Now, all of the buttons and rotaries, they're all like really, really top quality. I'll try and give you a listen. I'll knock the noise gate off the microphone so you can hear the full noise of the room now. And I'll try and give you a listen. That's the button. Hopefully you can't hear me heavy breathing. I'll give you a listen to the rotaries. And the front ones. And the paddles. And the top one. That's enough of that. Don't want you getting too excited with this ASMR or whatever you call it. But everything feels really, really nice. Nice tactile feel to the buttons and the rotary encoders. Absolutely fantastic. Which leads us on to build quality. Absolutely faultless. I mean, I've got the Grid Engineering MPX steering wheel, and the build quality of that was off the scale. And this is exactly the same. It is absolutely perfect in every way. And when I say perfect, I mean it's perfect in every way. There's literally nothing at all to complain about. People might complain Oh, there's no funky switch, no 7-way funky switch. Well, it's a replica wheel. It's not going to have one. That would be the only complaint anybody in their right mind could make, because this thing is absolutely perfect. On to performance. Well, I've been using this wheel rim for about 2 weeks now, pretty much solidly for 2 weeks, and it performs as you would expect. Everything works as it should. You can use this wheel with SimHub if you wish, and you can go absolutely mental with the RGBs, do whatever you want. But I've been using the Race Director software, which does an absolutely perfect job, and it's much, much simpler than using SimHub. Now, just while we're on about the Race Director software, I'll give you a quick look. So we've jumped in the simulator, and right now I've got the Dallara F3 dashboard running. So we can change that to the Dallara P217. And there we go. I'll give you a closer look there. That's the Dallara P217 dashboard. We'll change that to the Formula V. There we go. We've got the Formula V dashboard on there. And we've got the iRacing IR04. There we go. Identical dashboard. Then we've got the Porsche 911 GT3. We've got the Porsche RSR. And we've got the Radical SR10. Like, brilliant. Let me just turn the engine on so you can see it in action. So the shift lights on the top there, you can't see them very clearly because of the light that's right behind the camera. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I'll give you a closer look at the software. Turn that off. So this is the software. So here we've got, if we click on controller, we've got a graphical representation of the wheel itself. As I press the buttons, you can see they all illuminate depending on what I am doing. Here we can set the dual clutch bite point. You can see it just at the bottom there. So I've got that set up. You can adjust that quite easily with a couple of button presses. Dead easy. On here we've got display. This is where we pick our display. These are the options that we can choose from. LEDs. So here we've got the page where you can configure all of your LEDs. I've got mine set up there. Mine flags I've called it. That's original. But here we've got some default presets there. This is one that I've created. These are the colors that I've chosen. And then on here we can update the firmware. But the software is relatively straightforward, but much, much easier to navigate around and configure than SimHub. But of course, if you are a bit of a SimHub whiz, you don't need to use Race Director. You can just use SimHub. So everything worked as it should. Performance-wise, I literally can't fault it. Now, I've got a few wheel rims. So this is the VRS, or the VPG VRSPG. I'll just let you look at these side by side. So I've been using this for a while, and that's the grid equivalent. So this one's officially licensed by Porsche. This one isn't. I'll give you a comparison of the back of the two of them. So grid, VPG. And in reality, this Grid by SimLab wheel here, this beautiful piece of kit, doesn't do anything differently to something like this. It's a steering wheel with paddles on, buttons. This one costs about 400 euros, but that's not what it's all about. If you buy something like this, then you want more than just the functionality. You want the experience. You want to feel the steering wheel in your hands when you're racing. You want to feel like your experience is a bit more special because of the steering wheel. And that's where we get on to price. Now, I hope you're sitting down. If not, prepare yourself and sit down. Because in the UK, this steering wheel is going to cost you £2,154 plus shipping, which is about 20 euros. That's including VAT. Then, of course, you're going to have import duty on top of that. Is it value for money? Well, let's be realistic. None of this is value for money. They are game controllers, you know, let's be honest. But if you are right into the hobby and you want the best experience possible, then it is value for money. It's all subjective and it depends how deep your pockets are. Would I buy one? Well, if I had a spare 2,000 quid, which I don't, by the way, but if I had a spare £2,000 and I had nothing else to spend it on, yes, of course, I would buy one. But like I mentioned, it's all subjective. It depends how deep your pockets are. It's a ridiculous amount of money, I know it is, but so is a couple of €1,000 for a decent direct drive wheelbase or €1,000 for a rig. When you get to the high-end sim racing gear, it gets expensive. But you've got to remember that this is officially licensed by Porsche, and you won't be able to buy one of these from anywhere else. So you're getting something which nobody else can offer. And I've got to tell you, it's absolutely freaking amazing. Like, absolutely amazing. It's probably the nicest bit of sim racing equipment I have ever had my grubby little hands on. And I've had my grubby hands on quite a few bits of kit, let me tell you. I've been around the block once or twice. And this is by far the best bit of kit I have ever used. If Grid by SimLab say to me, right, Dave, we want you to send that back, which they might, you can't assume that you get to keep anything. I mean, this is a couple of grand. I probably won't be able to keep this. So I've kept all the boxes upstairs in case. But if they said to me, Dave, we want that RSR steering wheel back, I would have to send it back, unfortunately, because I couldn't justify spending 2,100 quid on a steering wheel at this point in my life. Especially when I've got something like this sitting there as well. This is the Grid by SimLab MPX. Now, this is about half the price of this. Does it look half as good as that? Well, you don't get a lot on this compared to what you get on that. This one is officially licensed by Porsche. It's got a 5-inch screen. It's just so much better. I don't know if it's twice as good as the MPX, but it depends what you want, doesn't it? I'm not really helping you here at all. I know I'm not. But it all depends on your own personal circumstances and what kind of money that you can afford to sink in to this money pit that is sim racing. So let's go over the 4 topics. Let's forget about the price just for now. Forget about the price just for now. We'll talk about looks. Looks-wise, Grid by SimLab have absolutely nailed it. I think it looks absolutely perfect in every single way. This is the Asetek QR, so this part here doesn't come with it. You get this little adapter on the back there, the spacer, sorry. This is the Asetek QR. So looks-wise, in every way, it is absolutely perfect. Like, genuinely perfect. Build quality, as I've mentioned, it's off the scale, as is everything by Grid by SimLab. I mean, this Porsche button box, which we're going to have a look at in a little while, that is perfect. The MPX is perfect. This is perfect. Anything by Grid by SimLab is perfect. Build quality is off the scale. Thirdly, performance. I've been using this for about 2 weeks now. Faultless. Absolutely faultless. The screen has worked perfectly every single time. The RPM lights have worked every single time. The telemetry on the buttons has worked every single time. I can't fault it. Oh, by the way, it does come with a small adapter that you attach to your rig, and this cable here attaches to it. And there's a small button on there, so we can just press a button and power it down if you want. So there's it with no LEDs. We'll turn it on. Any second. There we go. And it fires into live. Now this is ready to rock and roll. So performance-wise, faultless. Price, £2,154, including VAT plus shipping. I think shipping, I did a quick calculation on the website. I think it was €21. I mean, if you're going to be throwing 2,100 quid at a steering wheel, you're not going to complain about 21 euros for shipping. Then you're going to have import duty on top of that, which could easily be 200-300 quid, something like that. So you're going to be looking at the best part of 2,400, 2,500 pounds in the UK when you get ripped off by our government when this enters the country. Whether it's value for money or not depends on your own circumstances. When I think about everything being licensed by Porsche, having this in my hands and being able to use it for the last 2 weeks and use the wheel and feel the wheel and feel the quality of the wheel, I think it's value for money. But it's only value for money if you can afford it. So I'll leave a link down below in the video description if you want to go and check it out. I would highly, highly recommend it, but only buy one if you can afford it. Don't get into debt to play video games. But if you can afford it, then buy one. So I want to say a massive thank you to Grid by SimLab for sending me this to use, even if it's only for a couple of weeks. I really appreciate it. It's so nice to get your hands on real good quality kit and you know what's out there. Man, I don't mind testing things that are a lot cheaper. If I think looking at something is value to you guys, I'll look at it. But it's also really nice to look at something of exceptional quality. And if it is exceptional quality, well, I'll shout it from the rooftops. And Grid by SimLab have absolutely nailed it. But link down below in the video description if you want to go and check it out. Let me know in the comments what you think of this steering wheel and would you buy one if you had a spare 2,000 quid. Let me know in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. Have a great week. See you later. Cheers.